Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Get ready for Talking Heads, the show where expert insights meet world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Brought to you by USA Global TV and Radio. Meet our distinguished presenters. From the great state of Texas, longevity expert, award-winning author, publisher, and distinguished Toastmaster, Red O'Laughlin. From London, England, soul heart awakener, novelist, vocal coach, and artist, Dr. Madeline Chan. Also from England, the Harley Street stress expert, therapist, ambassador for peace, and speaker, Carolyn Heward. And from Australia, ICF PCC credentialed coach, entrepreneur, and leadership coach, Mariska Dupria. Experience their expertise, connect with their wisdom, and transform your perspective. Watch Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. This video and its contents are the property of USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. Visit usaglobaltv.com for more details.
Howdy, y'all. This is Red O'Laughlin. We're on Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And I'm talking about stress today. And I'm thinking, I'm getting ready to do a TV show, and it's just as if I'm doing a presentation to a bunch of people. And what do I do initially just to get going? Well, first thing I do is just literally before the camera shows on me, I take that 10-second quick breath, hold it, and then just kind of let it go a little bit. Oh, by the way, that my website that just popped up there is now live. It's the new one. I think there's a couple little bitty tweaks, but for most purposes, it's 99% there. And one of these days we may spend some time and go through it. But it's a far better website than I've had in the past, and more oriented toward me being an author. But getting back to how do I prepare? But one of the things that I do while I'm taking that deep breath is I visualize my audience, and whether I'm getting ready to speak in front of a local BNI group or Chamber of Commerce or whatever it may happen to be, it doesn't matter. I visualize the clapping, I visualize the attention, I visualize the success. So my expectation is already set up. I'm in my mind, everything's there, I'm aligned, and I just start going. Now, does it always work out? There's always things that happen, and you just have to be aware of it. But let me go ahead and get ourselves started for today. And there we go. One of the things that I try to do when I get topics, I gave my production engineer a list of topics for about 8 weeks, and I go through things. Well, I'm sitting in a jacuzzi, outdoor jacuzzi in Tucson, Arizona in October, and I'm talking to this guy, and he says, do you know Gary Brecka? I said, no. He says, he's a well-known human biologist, longevity expert. And we were talking back and forth, and I said, okay, fine. I get back, I do some research, and lately I've been watching his videos and listening to him talk. My son gave me a call the other night and says, hey, Gary Brecka's on Sean Ryan's show. I says, well, I know the name. I really haven't done much research on him. So anyway, I pulled up as a 3-hour podcast, and so I started watching it. And he and I have a lot of things that are very much in alignment with regard to cause and effect relationships, nutrition being more an aspect of deficiency more than anything else. But his background has him a lot more in depth with the medical records of thousands of people over the years when he was working in that industry. But he also talks a lot about the mitochondria in the body being the powerhouse, and with better breathing, better oxygen in our bodies, we actually end up with more energy and everything. So Brecka, Brecka. Charles, I can't remember the first name. Gary, can't remember the first name. Doesn't matter. But Brecka is the guy. And so if you're looking for somebody to look at, strongly recommend you give him a shot. But let's get back to the USA Global TV and Radio Network and to my show, Talking Heads. Today we're talking about stress. What would I do? Well, we are producing this show today. It's live streaming on Amazon Fire, Zizzle TV, E360 TV, YouTube, where we also have all the archives, Android TV, Apple TV, social media sites. I simulcast it on my Facebook channels, my author channel, and my personal channel. And there's others. We also have podcasts that they show up audio down the road. And as always, my shows are always set up for awareness and education. So my links, if you come back into any of the YouTube archives and you want to go back and find anything whatsoever, I have links that link me to my website, to my archives within the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And so that's one of those things that can be found. Just provide that information. Me, I'm a researcher. I research the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat symptoms, and you'll always be treating symptoms. My first degree was chemistry. I loved it. Fell in love with it as a sophomore in college, in high school. Got my degree in college. Never became a chemist because I got an invitation to Vietnam and just completely got out of that field by the time I left the Navy. Ended up in a different area that used different talents. I was in areas that used a lot of statistics and engineering things. Anyway, I got 5 academic degrees, 7 professional certifications. I spent 31 years in the Navy total, retired as a captain, been to 61 countries. Thank you, Navy. Talked about my cause and effect relationships. Been married 56 years as of last year. Coming up here in a few months will be 57 years. A couple kids, 3 grandkids, and 1 great-grandson. Best-selling author. Written 8 books, independent publisher, Toastmaster, writer, over 1,000 articles on LinkedIn, all original content. And this information I'm presenting today on stress is for educational purposes only. And on the USA Global TV and Radio Network, I was, during 2024, I was, for my show called The Wise Ones, I was the number 2 and number 6 in the rankings. So I thought that was pretty good. Not much change, flip-flopping back and forth. I actually started going back to the gym this week. My daughter started, so I've been going with her. We did upper and lower here, and anyway. So I'm seeing a little bit of change, but not much. It kind of goes up a little bit, down a little bit. But sometimes you get in a doldrum. It's kind of hard to get out of, but at least I'm going to continue doing that. My book called The Joy of Ageless Health, I cover one of the main topics of disease is chronic low-level cellular inflammation. And when the cell is stressed all the time, you end up with DNA attacks. You end up with an immune system that's not able to make the repairs that are necessary. And you end up with mutations that over time can develop into something. So stress is what, 70, 80%, 90% of all the causes that you go to see a doctor about. It has some genesis in stress. So let's talk about stress for a little bit. Stress, as a definition, is a state of emotional strain or tension, and it's from something in our environment. We can also get it from inside our heads when we think about things, but for most cases, it's something external to us. And this is a natural response. So humans are built this way. This is the way we operate. A challenge comes up, a threat comes up, and we have an immediate decision to make. Do we fight or do we run away? And so that's the way it's been all the way back to the caveman. And some of us are pretty good about handling it, and some of us are not. But you see immediately if it's a big enough threat, your heart rate's going to go up. You're going to maybe start to sweat a little bit. Your muscles are going to tense up because you're getting ready to make that decision to fight something or to run. And you really need as much blood flowing through your system as you can. And ironically, sometimes you feel no symptoms whatsoever. And that's part that really becomes a problem, because when you have no symptoms, you're not feeling anything. Well, I don't have any stress. I don't have any high blood pressure. I don't have any, all these things that you can't feel, glaucoma, pressure in your eye. There's a lot of things that are going wrong that we just don't feel. So anyway, stress is one of them. But when we do feel something, uh, to me, I think you feel it probably first when you're trying to go to sleep and something's bothering you. So if I'm looking at cognitive issues, my brain, my ability to concentrate is inhibited a bit. My memory may not be so good. My sleep is going to be really at the beginning of sleep, not good, because I can't get to sleep because something's bothering me. I may have emotional issues, anxiety, worry, irritability, behavioral issues. My appetite may be something that, okay, don't usually eat that, but I want something. And it may be, a couple extra beers, a couple extra glasses of wine. Substance abuse, social withdrawal. Everyone's different, and it's not the stressor. It could be the traffic that you're driving to work every day in, and people are there. Okay, it is what it is. Accept it. But it's what you hold on to and you don't let go. And when you grab a hold of that and you don't let go of it, that's when it becomes an issue. Not today, not tomorrow, next week, but down the road, it becomes an issue. So, what are typical things that stress us? Well, literally, it could be almost anything. If you're a student, it could be a test coming up. It could be your homework you got to get done tonight. You got 3 or 4 other things going on tonight. You don't have time for homework. Stress. Marriage. It's just a built-in stress. I mean, depending on what's at your work, you may have drama queens, you may have this, that, and whatever else. But our kids, the job, our boss, sickness, financial situation, violence in the neighborhood, violence on TV, traffic, politics. Oh, big one. News, politics. What do they call it? Trump derangement syndrome. There's all sorts of things out there, and with this stuff going on now with Doge and Elon Musk, and you read it in social media. If you're going to see stuff on TV and social media, and I'm not going to say 100% of it's nonsense, but there's a fair amount of stuff there, depending on who's doing what. Are they giving you the absolute truth? Probably not. Are they giving you partial truth? Maybe. Are they giving you their opinion? Absolutely. If you want their opinion, great. But that is a great source of stress, is news, politics. I'm not going to tell you politicians lie, but if their lips are moving, you figure it out. There are things that just, for whatever reason, it's the way it is. And if you learn to accept it, probably not too bad. Some people get stressed out when they're in crowds. Some people, language. I love to learn languages. I've been to 60 some countries. I always try to figure out, how can you say, hi, how are you? 1, 2, 3, where's the bathroom? Beer, please. Local language to be able to do things. Death in the family. I've had a couple high school buddies this past week. Both of them had brothers that passed away. Pain, always a stress issue. Upset stomach, shaking, dizziness. Sometimes sounds bother me. I mean, there's some commercials when some little kid's singing a commercial, it just drives me up a wall. There's the frequency and whatever just really kind of sends a stressor up me. Sometimes it's a smell. Sometimes it may be too much of a smell. Vibrate. Lots and lots and lots and lots of things are stressors. But as I mentioned, you don't want to hang on to something. You can respond to them fine, not a problem. You respond appropriately. That doesn't mean punching somebody in the nose and running away. No. But a lot of people don't let it go. I went and walked with my wife on the Camino de Santiago. It's a 500-mile walk across Spain. We did it in 30 days. She was doing it in respect for thankfulness, gratitude for overcoming breast cancer. And it was a year after she had had her last thumbs up, everything looked good. So we went over there. We'd been practicing for about a year, learning to walk long distances. And so it was my let it go tour. No matter what happened, let it go. And I must have said the very first day, because that first day was absolute terror. I could spend almost 30 minutes just talking nothing about that first day. But I can't tell you hundreds of times that day, let it go, let it go. And then sometimes I say, let it go, Red, let it go, LAUGHLIN, let it go. Sometimes you just got to tell yourself to let things go. And sometimes stress can cause physical issues. This doesn't happen overnight, but long term, a lot of issues can happen: cardiovascular disease, hypertension, weight gain, diabetes, digestive issues, reproductive issues, stroke, depression, anxiety, addiction, gambling. Lots and lots and lots of things can happen because of stress. Um, Now, many times, if we have physical issues, we can do some kind of stress management. Ironically, one of the easiest ones is exercise. There's easier ones than that, but when you exercise, your body's getting more oxygen, your lymphatic system is being activated, lots of things are going on. Our bodies, our brains, we all need that extra oxygen flowing through us. And sometimes that's a very good stress. I've always told people when I'm speaking, you get to a red light, there's somebody in front of you, they don't move as fast, you get stuck at the red light again. Uh, the easiest way to get rid of that stress immediately is to smile. You can't have a negative and a positive thought in your brain at the same time. Typically, your brain's going to have a negative thought. Your face is going to look like you're angry at something because that's the way the process works. It goes downward. Why not force it back upward? So if I can force my face to have glee and happiness and joy through smiling or laughing, then I'm going back up into my brain, forcing that negative thought out. And by the time you get through the light, when it's your turn, you could care less about the car that was upsetting you rather than, you know, worrying about something that you have no control over. So most of us, many times, we don't even recognize we have stress because we see it all the time. Your boss, your spouse, your kids, your job, doesn't matter. Uh, but we get stressed and we don't realize we have it. A lot of times we ignore it. We don't manage it. There are many things we can do to manage stress. We just choose not to do them. And as a result, we're not aware of the consequences. And for many of us, we carry it to the grave. It's just that's the way things work. But what really happens if I'm looking at a cause and effect relationship chemically? What is going on? Now, I mentioned Gary Brecka, and he was talking about stress, and he talked about these catecholamines that are released. Well, absolutely true. We have adrenaline, noradrenaline, and dopamine. Those are primary neurotransmitters in our bodies are called catecholamines. And when we get stressed, these things activate, boom. And all of a sudden, our bodies start to react according to the messages sent by these transmitters. These things are synthesized in the brain and they influence our body. We get all sorts of things going on. And I'll go into a lot more detail than right now. But stress, we have certain things that are defined as responses to stress. You know, I already mentioned your heart rate increases, your cardiovascular function, your mood, your anxiety. But if we end up in a situation of dysregulation and it continues, that's where the health becomes an issue that's brought on by stress. And they can be addressed if you catch them and you recognize them early enough. So fight or flight happens almost instantly. And you see it on TV a lot of times. You know, two people bump heads and one wants to take it and just knock the other one silly. Well, why would you do that? And you're thinking to yourself, well, some people can't separate, you know, whatever the insult was that somebody did, their wife, their girlfriend, their mother, their whatever it is, you know, your baby's ugly, whatever. They take umbrage at that and they lash out instantly. Maybe a better deal would be to turn around and walk away. Well, some people are not built that way, but it's a rapid response, sometimes almost uncontrollable. We end up with, you know, our cardiovascular, our output just really intensifies, blood pressure increases. We're getting blood pumped to all parts of the body because if we're going to run or we're going to fight, we need that extra blood with the oxygen where it needs to go. Our mood changes, our arousal changes, our tension changes. We have other hormones that are released, insulin, glucagon, blood sugar levels go because we need that extra energy. Lots of things happen. They all happen automatically. And you can go into each one of the adrenaline as to which one that done does. And we can look at each individual chemical, but if you look at them, they kind of overlap each other. You know, inside our airways, our bronchioles dilates, we get more room for oxygen. Our airways improves. We get that ability to get that much extra oxygen to our body. Blood flow gets into our digestive tract. In fact, our entire digestive tract just shuts down. And you occasionally see it on TV when somebody's doing an autopsy. So, well, the person was captured for 3 days, but their meal has not been digested at all because the body shuts down. Anything that's extraneous to survival stops. And so if you have food to digest, body says, I don't need that right now. I can digest it later. So the blood flow goes where it needs to go to. Gastrointestinal motility, the stuff in our gut, we're not going to digest anything. So our blood flow, we don't need our gut. The blood flow is going to decrease in that area. But where it does need to increase, it does. But what it does is it gives you, your body is immediately ready to do whatever it needs to do. Move, run, fight, anything in between. Sometimes it's an argument. Sometimes it's, like I say, it's anything. But we end up occasionally on autopilot. And that's not a bad thing, because sometimes that autopilot is what helps us improve down the road. The first time you swing at somebody and you miss or you hit and you come home with a black eye or bloody lip, okay, well, you learned a lesson. Was it a good lesson or not? There are things that you can learn. And a lot of the activities that we do in life are brought on by stress that's intentional so that it improves our ability to handle a situation. I just listed a couple of them here. Police officers, shoot, don't shoot. You don't want to be in a situation where something pops up and you shoot and you kill somebody that should not, just an innocent bystander. So your ability to ascertain, is this a life and death situation? Do I need to respond? If I do shoot, am I shooting the right person? So the shoot, don't shoot scenarios are very much a stress-induced scenario. Airline emergencies. I mean, I flew for 16 years P-3s, anti-submarine warfare aircraft, 4-engine turboprop. Most of my missions, there were 12 hours or more. But you ask somebody, well, what's one of your longer missions? Well, 12, 13, 14, 15 hours. But I remember one particular mission, we took off to go do something, and my flight was 0.1. We had an engine fire on takeoff. Well, you had to shut that engine down. When you're shooting the engine down, you're also doing a fire extinguisher to put out anything that's there, and then you turn around, come back down and land. And of course, it's an overweight landing, so you get a little bit extra stress on the aircraft. But airlines now have all sorts of scenarios built in so that they can simulate this engine out. They can simulate this condition on the runway. They can simulate all sorts of things. So as you're going through these different scenarios, okay, fine, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Okay, you master what you have to do. This is what I need to do first, second, third. I remember flying over in Vietnam, and sometimes you hear this thing coming. Every aircraft has what they call guard channel. And if somebody's in immediate danger, they can go to guard and talk to the world. They're not talking on a specific channel. And so you hear, Mayday, 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 and they give a course and speed direction, whatever. And then sometimes you hear on the guard channel, and then some expletive, because they were doing something they weren't supposed to be doing, and something happened wrong. And now all of a sudden, so they went from being a professional to being an idiot, an amateur. But if you hear that Mayday, 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 and then boom, you hear course, speed, altitude, and intentions, they're acting professionally from what they need to do. But we have mistakes that we've made all our lives, and we should be learning from them. We should be making our lives a lot better. One of the sayings that I've really loved over time is professionals learn until they can't get it wrong. Amateurs learn until they can get it right. And that's really and truly, if you make enough mistakes and you get hit with it over and over and over again, and you react and nothing can go wrong, you can't deal with. Well, that is the way things should be, especially if you're in a profession that demands it. Babies learn to walk by falling down a lot. Well, I have to report, my first great grandson had his first walk last night. We watched it on video. My grandson sent us a copy, and He was walking a couple steps, fell down. And he'd back up again, a couple more steps, 3 steps. Anyway, babies learn a lot by falling down. And all of a sudden, and within a week, you're walking all over the place. Well, he's a little bit older than a year, not much. But in my family, most of us walked usually around 9 months, give or take. But I did have one brother who was walking at 4 months, 4.5 months. At least that's the story my mom tells, and I believe it. And he was a pretty big baby. Stress. It makes us better in many regards. And I'm talking about stress that's planned, not stress that happens. Although the unplanned stress can make you better too. But stress increases our alertness. That's a normal response to stress. So if we train properly and we recognize that alertness now allows us to improve our cognitive function about how do I really want to respond to this intellectually. Our immunity improves, our resilience improves. In many cases, our performance improves. If I'm out lifting weights, okay, this week maybe 100 pounds, next week 110, next week after that 120. So our performance improves because we've stressed our muscles. We've stressed our ability to take a test. We've stressed our ability to talk. We've stressed our ability to do whatever it is that we're trying to improve in our lives. So stress can motivate, can do a lot of things. And in most cases, we don't improve without some level of stress. Again, it's not the stress, it's your reaction to it. So, adrenaline, noradrenaline, those are two of the catecholamines. They activate what's called the parasympathetic nervous system. And if I want to deactivate, inhibit the parasympathetic nervous system, what do I need to do? Well, almost any time you get somebody who is hyperactive on something, you say, whoa, take a deep breath. Believe it or not, that deep breath actually starts to inhibit the parasympathetic nervous system. You start to slow things down a little bit. Now, I jokingly say, take a deep breath, hold it for 30 minutes. Well, and then everybody starts laughing. Well, in reality, I think the world record for holding your breath underwater is a little over 24 minutes. Most of us can't hold our breath for a minute and certainly can't hold it for 3 or 4, much less a lot longer than that. But if you're looking to improve your health, especially something to improving your health in your old age, learn how to breathe better. Go to YouTube. A lot of breathing exercises there that will allow you to get more oxygen into your system, allow you to utilize what you have. But when you look at Gary Brecka's, he says, what is death? The inability to breathe. You're not getting oxygen to the brain. Gets to a certain level, boom, brain dead, you're dead. Well, and that's what happens to a lot of people. They just don't have the ability to get that extra amount of oxygen into the lower lungs so that it starts getting into the bloodstream and throughout our body. So deep breathing, and lots of exercises out there for that. Meditation, again, it's a normal stress management technique. Sometimes just talking to somebody about, talk to one of your coworkers about your boss who pisses you off. That talk is enough to calm you down. I mentioned exercise as being a major, major, major opportunity for stress management. Just getting out in fresh air and sunshine, that does wonders to changing the environment. You get away from the stressor. In fact, that's probably the number one they tell people. Something stresses you, get away from it. If it's a smell, if it's a vibration, if it's a sound, if it's a person, get as far away from them as quickly as you can. That is usually enough to shut down that particular irritant, that particular trigger. Sometimes we can actually do some relaxation techniques where we mentally look and calm down our muscle groups as we think about them, and we breathe and just kind of let each muscle group relax. Some of us enjoy some kinds of really relaxing music, visualization. I use that a lot. But there's just so many of them. Just go to YouTube. How do I inhibit? How do I stop stress? There's too many to watch. Dopamine's always present in the brain. You're not in a situation where you're going to create it like you do with adrenaline. Dopamine's there. But as things get stressed, the body will increase the dopamine. And we can attenuate a little bit of that, our body's response to it. But we have to really take breaks. Uh, 87, I was involved in so many things, and by happenstance, I stopped watching TV. If I had a chance to watch it, it just, you're gone 3 weekends a month. I'm going to college at night, 3, 4, 5. Just everything didn't allow me to watch TV. And then all of a sudden, I haven't watched TV in months. Why do it? Okay, it was a comedy. Okay. But I don't need the news. I can see from the stuff that I'm doing, I know what's going on. I don't need somebody's opinion as to what they think it is. So I stopped watching news, network news, for literally a couple, 3 decades. And if you take breaks from things that stimulate the brain, you're going to find that you actually can relax a whole lot better. And they may be games. I'm talking about little games on your computer, social media. Social media wraps up news on TV because, again, it's somebody's opinion in response to somebody else's opinion, whether it holds validity or not. Now, you may agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. But the mere fact that it's there and it's being presented to you might be a clue that, maybe I just need to get away from Facebook for a while or whatever. Junk food. If we find ourselves eating a lot of junk food, we end up in the extra 2 or 3 or 4 pounds on the scale. A clue. A lot of things are there and they trigger something and we develop habits, but we're not aware that the habit is being developed. So a dopamine fast, get away from all that stuff. That's those things that we can have control over. I didn't mention cortisol, but usually that's the first thing people think of in stress. Cortisol. Well, our adrenal gland response to stress is cortisol. And again, it's there to support. It's a big supporting actor, fight or flight. It's part of the big three up there in your catecholamines. We get the same physiological responses, similar symptoms, except we also get extra fat in our gut. We also get extra weight because of the cortisol. Cortisol loves fat, loves to store fat. So a lot of things are happening there that are outside the purview of the other catecholamines. But we're going to end up with things that we don't want. And if you look at the way our bodies are built, right around our waist, our biggest part of our gut, we have 4 or more times more receptors for fat for those based on cortisol. So chronic stress, same kinds of health issues based on the cortisol being formed. Again, stress is normal, but we don't want to let it accumulate. When it accumulates, now we have a problem. If we allow it to accumulate and become chronic, now those levels that used to be at the 1x, 2x, 3x, 4x are now at 10x. Now we have more than we can handle. And most of us don't recognize it. We may be irritated, may not be able to get a good night's sleep, maybe take it out on others. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say it. Something caused it. And whatever that stressor is, you can't tie it down. Somebody else can probably tell you what it is, but you're not going to believe them. But our memory is going to be affected, our sleep is going to be affected, and our storage of fat is going to improve to just an amazing level. But if we can suppress the stress, the same kinds of things that we did with the adrenaline and the other 2 catecholamines, then we have the ability to say, hey, I have some level of control over that stress in my life. Just like I'm learning to drive at high speeds. I drove at over 100 miles an hour in Germany for a couple of years. I'd go home 10 miles, 120, 130, 140 miles an hour. But it took me months to get up to feel comfortable driving at 130, 140 miles an hour. But at night, I found out I couldn't drive over 130 in the car that I owned, Mercedes, older one, because I would outdrive my headlights. And so, whoa, I got to back off a little bit on that one. And so you can drive comfortably at 120, 130, 140 miles an hour and feel comfortable and be responsive. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to be able to take those things gradually and improve. So again, what have I said? Let it go. Don't hold on to it. Okay, so if I'm looking at stress and my lifestyle affects everything we do in our health and literally in our life. Our eating, our fasting, our exercise, our sleep, all sorts of things affect. And these are choices. We choose to eat or not to eat. We choose to exercise or not to. We choose what time we go to bed, what time we want to sleep in. Most of the time we can sleep in, but that's more reserved for the retirees, more so than the worker bees. But anyway, we have a lot of choices that we can make. How much food do we put on the plate? What foods do we choose to eat? Lots of choices. But we can also avoid the stresses. If we know what triggers us, we can avoid those. It may be the news, it may be a particular kind of movie, it may be an actor, it may be a friend. Yeah, I can handle 5 minutes of him or her, but that's it. Okay, be nice, be respectful, and be on your way. Uh, but again, you can't be on your way if your spouse is the cause of your problem. What is the cause? You can't. To me, 50, coming up on 57 years, I learned a long time ago, you can't change somebody. There was reasons why you fell in love with that person to start with. Oh, that person just didn't do that. That would be not, no, that's not your job to make a change. It's that job to integrate with that person as best you can. Now, a boss is somebody that you can walk away from. If it really gets bad, find a better job. Now, I've always been maintained that, if you like your boss, you like your coworkers, and you like your salary, any two of those three will keep you there. But if two of the three go away and you're only down to one, chances are you're going to be looking for a job very, very quickly. Traffic is, it could be, most of the time it's easy. And then all of a sudden, a couple of wrecks, they tie things up. Weather, we had a overnight low in the below freezing. Our heater wasn't working well, or at least the controller wasn't working. So a little chillier in the house last night, normal, a little extra stress. Again, news is probably one of the predominant ways to irritate people and increase stress. But overall, it's your health that's going to be affected when you don't control things. What can you do? Well, positivity. Sometimes we have a mantra, let it go. I can't tell you how many times I said that out loud. Mindfulness. Sometimes we reframe the situation. Okay, what if I looked at that perspective from that person's view? Well, okay, I see what you're talking about, but it's I understand it. I still disagree. But now you're starting to add some intellectual properties, that intellectual quotient to whatever that event is. What are you vulnerable to? What are those things that if somebody says something, does something, whatever, really torch you off? Well, take something innocent. Cold weather. I am not a cold weather aficionado. I love 95, 100 degrees, lots of humidity in Texas. I love it. But I don't like 35, 40 degrees in Texas. That's just me. That's a vulnerability. But I understand it. I walk outside, it's cold, I can deal with it. Are my goals being met? My nutrition, my hydration, the quality of my sleep. Lots of things are out there. So I need to slow down. Random acts of kindness are always good. Stretching, hiking, a hobby. But I need to set boundaries for me. So again, I let it go. I know my triggers. I can relax when I need to. I do my breathing. I can move away if possible from something that's immediate. Visualize, understand, reframe things. Lots of issues there that I can change, but sometimes I can't. Exercise, laughing and smiling is often my go-to, just in the middle of nothing. Somebody's there at the checkout counter and they're just taking forever. You look at me and you're going to see a smile on my face, and that's my way of de-stressing that situation. RAK, random acts of kindness. Complimenting others. You're going out of your way to tell somebody what a better job, what a good job they're doing. So, last couple items here for today. Get more sunshine. Do a fast on news. You don't have to look at everything that's there just because it's being broadcast. Read more. Enjoy life. Avoid blue light, particularly at times you get ready to go to bed. Find some good music. Reminisce on the happy times and smile a lot. So let me get ready to wrap things up here. We just talked about the 4 primary chemicals that control our body responses. We talked about how stress affects our body and our future health. Talked about how we can control it. It takes time, it takes a little bit of practice and energy. Identifying your triggers and letting go and learning from our mistakes. Seriously, learning from our mistakes. Red O'Laughlin here. red.olaughlin.com is how you get in touch with me. RED, color OLAUGHLIN.com. Take care, y'all. Bye now.
What if one simple skill could change the way you connect with the world? What if listening could open doors to deeper relationships, stronger businesses, and a better you? Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the Listening Mentor, brings you USA Global TV and Radio, a space where voices are heard, ideas are shared, and global communities thrive. Through the elevated listeners' courses and books, you'll master the power of listening, set boundaries with confidence, and transform conversations into opportunities. Join us. Listen, learn, elevate. Whether you're a leader, a coach, a business owner, or someone seeking stronger connections, your journey starts today. Subscribe, learn, and transform today.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Steve Klein Art at steveklein.art.
My name is Steve Klein, born Manchester, England, 1953. My quest in my lifetime is to create artwork from my soul and the deepness within my wildest dreams and fantasies. In 2012, my heart stopped when I was given too much anesthetic for a minor knee operation, and this near-death experience took me to another multi-dimensional world, an out-of-body experience, and I was given the gift of being blessed by an overwhelming, burning passion to become, for the very first time in my life, an artist with an eternal, passionate desire to bring my art, which I've named multi-dimensional, subliminal, freeform art, to the world, as only 3% recover from what I experienced. And now in my golden years want to release my cosmic, vital energy through my art to allow people to be a part of my cosmic dance.
To learn more, email roccogoodwine@gmail.com. For VIP pricing, mention USA Global TV and Radio.
Have you ever felt unheard? Like your words float into a void, leaving you invisible and disconnected? How about feeling judged, when assumptions overshadow your truth, leaving you misunderstood and defensive? And then there's that moment when someone offers solutions you never asked for, dismissing your feelings and leaving you more frustrated than before. It doesn't have to be this way. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the Listening Mentor, understands. She's here to help you reclaim your voice, build stronger connections, and create meaningful conversations that inspire understanding and mutual respect. Through her groundbreaking books, online and in-person courses, and interactive workshops, you'll learn how to navigate life's most challenging interactions. Discover the power of elevated listening and transform how you communicate. Master setting boundaries and asking permission to protect your peace. Learn to recognize and release judgment, fostering empathy and true connection. Dr. Kerbeck also offers personalized coaching, one-on-one or group sessions designed to fit your unique needs. Whether in person or virtually on StreamYard, her guidance will empower you to thrive. You don't have to struggle alone. The path to deeper connections and better relationships start here. Visit drjacqueline.com or usaglobaltv.com. Join a global community of empowered listeners and transform your life, one meaningful conversation at a time. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck is the Listening Mentor. Start your journey today. Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.